comes in every shape and size. And much like Giannis, Big Ben greatness won't be appreciated until he's gone. You're talking about a guy that's a two-time Super Bowl MVP, a two-time Super Bowl champion, a bona fide Hall of Famer, a guy that led his team to 11-0 last year before the wheels fell off. And why did the wheels fall off? The wheels fell off because he's coming off a Tommy John surgery. And usually when pitchers have Tommy John surgery on the elbow, what do, Molly? They put him on an innings restriction. What did the Steelers do? They threw the ball almost 50 times a game, right? His arm got weak, and as the weather, the inclement weather got worse, then he couldn't throw the ball, cut the ball through the wind in the elements. They had no running game. This year he's going to have a running game. This year he's going to be rejuvenated. Listen, there's a bunch of quarterbacks in this league that have played well past the age of 39. You're talking about, Warren Moon. We sitting here applauding, Tom Brady and his avocado toast or whatever he's eating, or I'm sorry, he doesn't eat bread. It's avocado ice cream. And then we want to throw the same hate on Big Ben. Big Ben is made out of everything that those guys are, right? His resume speaks for itself. He's a guy that's never had a losing record, right? I don't know why the hate is so big on Big Ben. And listen, and the Steelers in general, when has the Steelers ever had a losing record underneath Mike Tomlin? I'll wait. Okay, so why do we believe they're going to start now and start believing in Cleveland? Come on, man, you're killing me, Petey.
Well, look, boy. Listen, and I understand, Big Ben resume is longer than the Starbucks line. I get that, right? And I understand, he's a future Hall of Famer. I get everything about Big Ben, and I respect Big Ben. But when we talk about football, right, and we talk about the quarterback position, it's just like in any other sport, boy. We talk about the evolution, right? We talk about what do quarterbacks in today's game have to do. They have to be able to scramble. They have to be able to be a dual quarterback. Now, Tom Brady just happened to be different. But let's not get fooled by the Pittsburgh Steelers record last year, because a lot of those teams they played last year wasn't that good. So when you look at what's going on in the AFC North, you look at Baker Mayfield, a guy that showed tremendous strides last year, the guy that we had been waiting on, a guy that's mobile, that could get outside the pocket. You look at a guy like Joe Burrow. I know he's coming off an ACL injury, but he'll be perfectly fine. If I could come off an ACL injury and I wasn't nearly as athletic as Joe Burrow, I know he's going to be fine, a guy that can scramble outside the pocket. And we don't even need to talk about Lamar Jackson. We know what he could do with his feet. But what I'm saying is, you just got to think about how much the NFL has elevated the athletes, right? You look at Myles Garrett, you look at Aaron Donald. Those guys are freaks of nature. You have those certain type of individuals on every defense in the NFL. So with Big Ben not being able to really be mobile outside the pocket, it's going to be hard for him in the Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe. And that's why I have him as the last quarterback for us being in the AFC North, because his ability to get outside the pocket and move and scramble on his feet.
See, Big Perk, that's where you're wrong, right? Because people don't realize Big Ben is one of the most athletic quarterbacks that I've ever gone against. And maybe he's lost a little speed off his fastball, but he's still a guy that can make you miss. And he does it in a different way. He does it like Steve McNair. He swats you down because he's massive. He's hard to tackle. Most of the guys that's coming on blitzes are 6'2". He's 6'5". And you look at him, he's looking lean and mean right now. But, what happens is the whole is only as good as the sum of his parts, right? And look at the sum of the parts that he has. He has a tremendous defense. I would argue to say that he has arguably the best roster. I think I'll take the wide receivers and the tight end from the Pittsburgh Steelers before I take them from any other team within that division. And yes, that is including, the Cleveland Browns. And also, you look at what Big Ben is able to do. You look at what John Elway was able to do late in his career, right? They got him a running back in Terrell Davis. And all of a sudden, they thought that John Elway was done. What did he do? He went back to back. And if memory serves me right, Big Perk, he was about the same age as Big Ben. So listen, if I got to bet down on anybody, and I hate to say this because I'm a Raven through and through. Remember where I started my career? Yeah. I hate this man, right?
Yeah,
I wore those colors, right? But I cannot deny and understand that this guy is a guy that can beat you above his shoulders. When Peyton Manning won his last championship, it wasn't because he was great. It was because he was smart enough and he had football acumen to get you in the right plays. You think about Baker Mayfield, he's a product of a system, right? You'll hear Tannenbaum talk about all the time. He's the most easily replaceable starting quarterback in all the NFL. You can find a guy that can fake it. We see that with Kirk Cousins. We see that with Ryan Tannehill. Baker Mayfield is no different. It's nothing elite about Baker Mayfield.
The most replaceable.
He is
most replaceable quarterback in the NFL.
Okay. Out of all the starting quarterbacks, name another team that if they put them on the Cleveland roster, Cleveland wouldn't be better. Name one. Let's pick one other than Drew Lock.
Well, look, boy, I'm not going to disrespect Baker Mayfield for what I saw last year with him doing the postseason towards the end of the season. I'm not going to do that. I got two questions, right? Sure. When you talk about defensive players in the NFL, are they not faster? Are they not more athletic than when you played the game of football or when John Elway or even Peyton Manning played the game of football? I'm just asking.
Because it was a guy called LT. It was a guy called Derek Thomas. A guy called Terrell Suggs. It's been listen. All Aaron Donald and these guys are today is just a modern version, and the new year people are seeing it, man. But I'm telling you, man, like Big Ben got a lot to say about this.
Okay, no, I was seriously asking you a question. Now I got another question for you. You was talking about Big Ben and how athletic he still is. Do you think Big Ben could beat me in the 40?
Yeah, I think he got you, son. I think he got you. I got a lot of faith in you, Perk. And maybe it'll come down to you beat him by a beard because you stick that chin out. But I tell you what, he looked lean and mean, and people don't realize how athletic he was. And the problem is, what I'm talking about is his football acumen. Yeah. Remember Chase Young had all this smoke. He was talking like we ain't worried about Tom Brady. How many times did Chase Young touch Tom Brady? That would be zero, Big Perk, because guess what? When you play the game above your shoulders, you know where to go with the football. So it don't matter. You're never going to be able to use that athleticism against Big Ben because the ball's going to be going out of his hands. We just watched CP3. One of the guys, probably got more body fat than you and me, right? Well, maybe not you, but definitely me. But you know what I'm saying? Like he was able to manipulate the basketball game. Why? Because he was playing the game above his shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's why we've seen Rivers be dominant. We've seen Drew Brees be dominant. We've seen guys that's limited as far as their athleticism be dominant because guess what? Today's football players, Perk, are dumb as a box of rocks because they only believe in being fast. They don't understand and see the game. They don't think the game like the players of old.
All right, let me ask you this. So who do you have winning the division? And rank them for me.
Oh, man, for me it's tough, right? I mean, I think it's right there with either Pittsburgh or the Baltimore Ravens. Okay. I think, listen, we've always seen these super teams, and Cleveland usually Cleveland's, right? And now now that Stefanski is going into his second year, what's out there? What's out there is film, and defensive coordinators are tremendous in putting you and making you do things that you don't do well. So all those great defensive coordinators have broken down the system. I think he caught them by surprise in that division last year. Now they're going to have a plan. They're going to make Baker. They're going to set borders for him. He's not going to be able to roll out. They're going to be able to make sure that, hey, if we win, it's going to be because Baker Mayfield's arm. And we're going to make this little short quarterback. We're going to make him throw from the pocket. And he doesn't have windows to see over because he's only 6 feet, barely. So he has to get on the edge to get there. But what happens if you close the doors on the edges? And now he's going to have a lot of mischief and a lot of movement in front of his sight. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see him struggling, Big Perk.
Perk, who are you taking?
Well, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, watching them towards the last part of the season, watching Baker Mayfield starting to be who we wanted him to be, starting to be that leader. I started to see a group of guys that were coming together collectively and started to look like a family, right? And when you look at them, they could win in the trenches, boy.